Well, got ourselves a cool tree job today. We got a few snags we got to fall. It's kind of like a thinning project thing, but should be pretty cool. I might need to use my rope and come along for a few trees, but hopefully not. There's not really any houses I have to worry about hitting or anything. I just have to make sure to not hang them up, so should be fun. So the first set of trees we gotta fall are these two right here, this white oak and this sugar pine. I have two options with this white oak. I'm either gonna dump it right here, or I have a bigger hole that way, especially if I fall that sugar pine. But the thing about that is I'd have to crank it that way because it's got a pretty good side lean this way. So I think I'm just gonna gun it my sight right at this little whipper, and it'll basically just fall straight down into that. The crotch will fall where the pine is, and it should reach the ground all the way. If worst case scenario, I can always just get my come along my rope and crank it too, but it should just go no problem. So I hit my mark on the first go. Obviously you could tell my chain was super aggressive. It's an old barbed wire chain that my dad wore down and stuff. But yeah, as I use my dogs like you're supposed to. I picked a point, how deep I wanted to go, and basically just used it as a pivot point until my sight got where I wanted to. When you're doing that though, you just always got to make sure you're in the right position. Body positioning is everything in pretty much anything you do. So yeah, use your dogs, get good body positioning to begin with, and yeah, let's send it. Another thing is too, you never want to go right back into where you just were cutting. You want to let shit settle no matter what. I mean, obviously if you're wanting to get a bunch of timber on the ground, sometimes guys will slack on that, but safety over everything. Good looking stump. Pretty good straight across hinge. It was a little bit deep for how heavy of a leaner this was, but still not bad. So I had to dump those two little black oak snags so I can make a bigger hole for this sugar pine I'm about to fall. So it's got a pretty good side lean this way, as you can see. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to compensate a little bit and probably gun it for right here, and probably leave a little more wood on the uphill side. So when it hinges over, it hopefully, sugar pines are pretty brittle, so it might just break off anyway once it's committed, but hopefully that wood holds it for a little while so it can just fall right in this hole right here. I mean, it's kind of a tight hole, but it's a big enough tree to where I think it'll bust through. As long as I don't hit one of these big green Doug firs, it should come right here. So I'm gonna have to back bar this tree too, because it's good practice to never cut under a lean. So I'm gonna cut it from that side of the tree, which I don't have to back bar, but I prefer back barring because it's easier to match your corners up. And luckily this chain is super aggressive because my dad, he's a timber faller, big time back bar. So his chains are always pretty aggressive. So it should be pretty straightforward, but worst case scenario, I got my come along and we can crank her over. So, I mean, it's a pretty good looking stump, not too bad. I was able to shoot that gap and whatnot. When it hit those branches, it kind of moved it a little bit to the right where it got into these oaks, but it's all good. I wanted to split the canopy right here, but it's fine. I'll just have to cut that out. But yeah, she's on the ground. So that right there is a perfect example of why your dog's your best friend. I mean, I can't stress it enough, because I got guys I work with and stuff who just like, when they're falling trees, they don't use their dogs or do any of that, and it's like, what the hell's the point of even having them on there? Pretty much, whether you're bucking or you're cutting a tree down or whatever you're doing with a saw, if you can learn how to use your dogs, you really, obviously you should never one-hand a chainsaw, and you always should keep your thumb wrapped. But really, like, you should be able to just pull it. Those dogs are helping your saw pull through the wood where you almost shouldn't even need to use two hands. Like this, watch this. See, my dogs are just pulling me right. You know, obviously I'm always gonna have two hands on the saw, or most of the time. But yeah, that's the thing. Dogs are there to help you. Use the hell out of them. If you have one of your foremen or something tell you to not use your dogs, don't tell them to kick rocks, because you'll probably get written up. But don't listen to them. So our next victim is this little cedar right here, which it's pretty straight up and down. I'm gonna try to fall it right straight in that hole right there. The thing about these cedars too is they're really light, so you really got to saw them up. They don't have very good hinge either, so they tend to pop off. But the one thing, like I said, you got to be careful with these things that you don't cut your wood off, because you'll be sawing and it won't launch, and then it'll launch at the last second. So I can almost guarantee you on this one, when we look at my hinge, it's going to be like a 1-inch hinge more than likely. So we'll dump her. Dealing with lots of trees with not very good hinge today, I'll tell you that much. It's good practice though. Flat ground, not very steep, medium-sized trees. Good beginner trees. So, as I said, about 1 inch of holding wood right there on each side. It started to kind of want to set back on me, but luckily it was a pretty small tree to where I could just push it over. But yeah, right there, cedars. They take a while to launch, but once they launch, they just usually pop off. So they're kind of a hard wood to deal with sometimes, but man, they do make some good firewood and they smell nice.